In this video, I'll show you how to assemble my 3D trainer box that I have for sale on Etsy. I am using Cricut Design Space, however, if you are a Silhouette user, please feel free to follow along to this video. Just make sure that for Cricut you're using the SVG file, and for Silhouette you'll need the DXF file. I've opened the file onto my canvas, and as you can see there are quite a lot of layers to this one. However, it is a nice and easy one to put together once you know how. So I'm going to talk you through that step by step, and then once you've made the file, a lot of these pieces are interchangeable and optional. So what I would suggest is make the file as is, and then the second time that you come to make it, you can change the colours and you can maybe add and remove pieces to them as well. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to select the layer and you want to ungroup, and now everything should move around individually. And the only thing that we need to do is change our score lines and attach them to the layer that they're associated with. And the easiest way to do this is to go to the layers panel, find the bottom score layer, which is this one right here with on the blue shoe, and then hold Command or Shift and select all the remaining score layers that you can see in your layers panel. Once you've done that, go ahead to the operation pane and just change those layers to score. As you can see, they now have changed to a dashed line and we can get ready to attach them. So these top four sides right here, the bottom left hand red shoe, the left hand blue shoe, and also these two little pieces on the bottom right hand side all have score layers. So just make sure you've changed them all before you proceed. Now what we need to do is select each score layer and then also select the layer that it sits on top of and just attach the two. So if you're in Cricut Design Space and you select the layer, you'll see on the right hand side it should automatically select both the score layer and the layer that it's associated with. If it doesn't, you can simply click on the screen, drag over the two and it will select them, and then we're going to attach, and it might be easier to just move it out of the way so you know which ones you've done. I'm now going to move on to this one right here, and I'm going to keep doing that until all of my score layers have been attached. So now when you move them around, it should move around with the score layer as well. At this stage, if you want to, you can go ahead and change the colours. So the only reason why I have it as blue and red is because it makes it easier to see the score lines. But at this point, you can also go ahead and change them. If you are using a logo, you can find them on Google. You can just search logo PNG for whichever brand you're looking for. Open that into your design space and you can also cut that at the same time. But I'm just going to go ahead and click on Make It. Now that we have everything cut out, we can go ahead and assemble them. So there are quite a lot of pieces as I said, but I will talk you through it step by step. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to assemble the bottom portion of our box. So we need the white soles, and in the original file on your design space they were grey. I've just changed them to white. Now both of these pieces are exactly the same, so you don't have to worry about which one you need to use. So I'm going to take one of these, and then I'm also going to take the two long side pieces that have the little spikes on right here. So I'm going to take these three pieces and I'm going to assemble the top portion of my box. So first of all, just fold over all of your score lines. I'm going to start first of all with this piece right here. So the piece that doesn't have these little semicircle cutouts. So I'll just put that to the side. And then I'm going to take the sole shape, and it doesn't matter which way around you have this as they're both the same. And I'm just going to take this piece right here and start to glue it around the sides. Now, you don't have to be fully accurate with this, but you want to try and be as accurate as you can. So what I've done is these two teeth here, I've put little circle cutouts, and that just indicates that this is the middle. So the point in between those two circles is the middle of your side. So it just helps you to kind of line it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply glue to the top of those teeth. And I recommend only gluing half first of all, and we can do the rest afterwards. And then just try and line the middle up with the middle of the side layer. And it's easy if you turn it around to face you. And I'm just going to lift this up and just put those teeth underneath the sole layer. So we don't want to glue them on top, we want to put them underneath, which makes it nice and easy. And then we're just going to curve our hand around and just make sure that that's really nice and flush with that edge. And as you're doing that, just press down on the inside as well, just to really glue them down. And then once you've glued down one side, we can go ahead, glue the rest of the teeth and finish gluing down the rest. So again, just lift it up, put them underneath, and then just run your hand around the edge and it will push those edges nice and tight for you. Next, you want to take the next piece. So this is the piece that has the little semicircle cutouts. And we're going to do the same thing, only you'll notice that on the end of this piece, we have a little flap. So we're going to take that, I'm going to put some glue on top of it. Take the end of this piece right here. Now, I know that it's not this end because this side has its own tab on it. So we know that that side attaches right here. It's going to be the side that does not have a tab. And we're going to just glue them together like this to just make it one continuous piece. And I'm just going to lift that sole piece over the top, and the same as before, just run your hand around that edge over the top and fold them around. So you want that little tab here to go on the inside, and just work your hand around that edge again, bring that tab through. And then once that's done, you can then glue down that piece. And we're now going to work on the bottom portion of the gift box. So that's going to be within the pink sections. So again, I'm going to take the two sole shapes like this. I'm also going to take the two long side pieces that have the little edges on as well. So again, we only need one of these for now. So now turn them over because we want to add an extra piece to cover up these tabs right here. So you'll have two extra pieces here in the same colour and they just kind of glue on top. So I'm going to start with this pink piece right here. I'm going to cover the whole top of this in glue. Take this piece right here, make sure you're using the one that has the same colour, and just lay that down on top. And what I'm actually going to do is turn it around so that I can put some pressure on the inside. Next, I'm going to take the white piece, again cover the whole top in glue. So now we have the top and bottom of our shoe boxes. The top is the piece with the little semicircles, and it's worth noting that these semicircles need to be more towards the back, and this is the back of the shoe. So you want to have more space at the front than you do at the back. And then this is the bottom piece right here. And we're going to find the black piece that looks like so. It was initially blue. And we're going to glue this down on the bottom. I'm now going to put the bottom piece to one side for now, and I'm going to take the top piece and we're going to start to decorate the box. So I want to take the tongue piece. So this kind of sits upwards. If I show you an example, this was my test run. So it's this kind of piece right here. And there's a few pieces that need to glue onto this before we start to glue them down. So first of all, we have this kind of horseshoe shape. We also have within the white section, I have this outline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take this outline piece right here, and I'm going to cover the whole bottom of that in glue, and then just glue that down on top. Then take this horseshoe shape and just cover the back of that in glue as well, and you're going to glue that down over the top of the two of those. As I said, the semicircles need to be closer to the back of the shoe than the front of the shoe. So I know that this is the back and this is the front of my shoe. So I'm going to turn it round so the front of the shoe is facing me. This is the front of the shoe, so I'm going to glue that down here. I'm going to cover the bottom portion. I only want to glue up to about here. I don't want to cover the whole thing in glue. And I'm just going to glue that down on top. Again, you can turn it around and put pressure on from the inside. The pink shoe shape, so we have 2 of those. Glue these around the edge of our box. So first of all, I'm just going to curve the back slightly just so that it makes it a little bit easier when I come to assemble it. But take the shoe, and again remember front facing to the left, and we're going to start to glue these down. So I'm going to put this piece on the side that I have closest to me. And you'll notice that they have semicircle cutouts as well, which makes it really easy actually to assemble these. So I'm going to turn this over, so I'm going to glue the back, but I'm only going to glue up to about here because it's only going to glue onto this piece right here. So if we glue above that, the glue's kind of not going to be sticking on anything. So I'm going to just glue to about here, and then we're going to lay that down over the top of that semicircle piece, and then just curve that all the way around and just hold on to that until it dries. You can kind of put it down like this and just put some pressure on the back as well. Go around, I'm going to take the next piece and we're going to do the same thing. And we're now going to start working on the next piece. And again, I'm going to just give it a little bit of a curve. And I'm going to cover the whole of this piece in glue. And because you've already created the curve with the first layer, this should be really nice and easy to apply. So just again, go over that hole and just make sure it's lined up. Just push again, run your finger against the bottom as well, just to make sure that it's not overhanging in any way. And then just simply run your hand across it until it sticks. And the same as I did before, I'm just going to lay the back flat, and I'm just going to put some pressure on from the inside of the box just to help it to glue down. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be covering it again anyway. And then we're going to turn it around and do the same on the other side. And I'm going to take these pieces right here. So we have 2 that I have in white, and they have little semicircle cutouts. And there's also 2 pieces that look similar, but they're solid, and they kind of glue on the back. So what I'm going to do is take one of these and cover the back in glue. And I'm going to glue it down on top of one of the solid pieces. I want them to be opposite. So let's see how this is facing this way and the gap is on the right. Same on this one. You want to flip it around because you want those gaps, the stripes, to be touching in the middle. So you want to make sure that you do that correctly. So I'm going to lift this up and cover the back in glue. And then we're going to start gluing them onto our shoe. So the stripe needs to be facing the back of the shoe, like this, and we're just going to glue it down on top of there. Same on the other side. Then we're going to take this piece right here, and you want to make sure that the black hole covers that we've just put on are facing outwards. So turn it around so they're facing down, and we want to cover it in glue, but we want to avoid this top piece right here, and we only want to go about just over half of the way on these pieces. And this is going to glue down the top of that bottom white striped piece And then I just took these two white pieces that were the same shape and just glued one on top of the other. And again, I'm just going to give it a little bit of curve. And I'm going to smother the back of the whole thing in glue. And that's going to sit on the back of your shoe just to cover that gap up. Next, we have one final white piece, and it's this long strip, and another pink piece, which is the same shape, but it has these little grid lines cut out. And I'm going to take the pink piece and I'm going to cover the whole back in glue on the white piece. And just make sure it gets lined up. I'm just going to curve that around slightly as well. And this is going to glue around the front, so you may want to just work out where the middle of that shape is. And then we're going to glue that down around the bottom front of the shoe. So I'm going to cover the whole thing in glue. Just stick that down around about here. We also have a few final pieces left, so you should have 4 pieces left. The black rectangle is optional and sits in here. So have a little rectangular piece, and I'm just going to create a curve, bend that over slightly, and I'm just going to put some glue on the bottom of one. And again, you don't need to use this piece, but I like to use it. So put a little tiny bit of glue on the bottom. I'm just going to fold this back piece outwards, and I'm going to glue that tab on the inner piece. So it's going on the back of there, on the inner bottom. I'm going to create a bit of a loop. And I'm going to just fold that over and glue that down inside like this. So you should have the piece with no holes should be kind of laying flat, and the piece with a hole should be sticking up on the side. So the piece with the pointed edge faces downwards. And I can see that if I hold that over these 3 pieces, it kind of fits nicely. So I know that that goes on the left-hand side, so this must go on the right. And I'm going to cover the back of the side that has the holes in glue. And this just allows the tongue to sit on top of it, just to keep it in place. So just glue that in on the inner edge, and it should line up perfectly with the holes. I'm just going to curve these little pieces out slightly, just to give a little bit more dimension. I'm now going to lift the tongue, and the tongue should sit on top of these little tabs that we've just created. I'm actually going to just give the tongue a little bit of a bend, just ever so slightly. Put your logos on here as well. You can stick them to the sides, to the tongue, to the back. But now that we're done, we're going to put the box top onto the bottom portion. So the piece that has the central circle is the back of the shoe, and the side circle is the front, and you just simply lay that down on top,